Hi guys, I'm Rahul and welcome back to my channel. Yeah. So, this is a very important topic in the hobby, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have got a lot of questions about this particular topic, which is the most important thing I feel in the hobby. That is the filtration and why it is so important, and the main reason why. A lot of aquariums fail and some people get into the hobby, and if they don't get the filtration right, it causes a lot of problems for the fish, and then eventually they will not survive. So this is a very important topic, and I've made a lot of videos with regards to filtration. I've used a lot of kinds of filtration like sponge filter, hang on filters, canisters, moving bed filters. So many things I've already done, but this is one detailed video about all the important topics or important points that you need to take care when it comes to aquarium filtration. So first things first, this is going to be a very long video, and so bear with me because I don't want to split it into so many videos, so I'm making it to one video. But the new thing, it's an old thing, but I've never implemented it in most of my videos. You have chapters now, so in the timeline or where you can see the time where we can forward, you can see chapters. So I've divided this video into 10 parts. So the timeline, the chapters are mentioned in the video's description also. So if it is the starting of it, or if some topic I'm getting a little carried away because I'm talking too much, you can forward to the next. And most of it, I think whatever I know I have covered in this video. One more thing is, this video I've already made it in Hindi. If you guys follow my channel, we have an Aqua Mind series where 4 YouTubers together we collaborated and we make a lot of videos. So Aqua Mind series, we have made a 3 detailed video about the same topic, filtration, and a lot of things. So please do have a look. So Hindi में ये वीडियो आने वाला नहीं है because already मैंने हिंदी में बनाया है इसको. तो इसका Aqua Mind series का प्लेलिस्ट मैं ऊपर लिंक में छोड़ रहा हूँ, आप उधर में देख लीजिए. So coming back to English, so this particular video, like I said, is going to be very long. So I've split it into 10 parts. So yeah, and like I said, if you're getting bugged, go to the next topic. There are so many chapters and it's all listed out. Yeah, so let's get into the video. Hey, before we get into the video, if you're visiting my channel for the first time, do hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the all icon, because only then you'll get notified when we post videos. Because most of the time, a lot of people miss out getting notifications, and we regularly make videos on a lot of topics. You would have seen it in the intro and a lot of other things, so I'm not going to waste too much of your time. Already the video is going to be very long. Let's get into it. So the very first thing is, what is filtration and why is it so important? First things first, filtration is, a lot of people think it's only for cleaning the aquarium. Of course it does cleaning the aquarium. It polishes your water if you use the right kind of media. There is a lot of sponges and different kind of things what you get to give you crystal clear water. So that is one part of it. Apart from that, the most important thing is breaking down the ammonia which is formed in our aquarium. So ammonia is the first thing what is formed in our aquarium because of fish waste and the fish food, the excess food what fishes don't eat, or if you have a planted aquarium, if you have some dead plants or whatever. So this is something which forms ammonia. Ammonia is very harmful to fishes. So why we say this nitrogen cycle or fish tank establishing is very important is because this ammonia needs to break down into nitrite, and nitrite needs to break down into nitrate. So this is the basic thing. I'm going to be explaining nitrogen cycle later in this video. If you want to jump to that, check out the list and you can go to that. That will be already listed down. So you want to go directly to nitrogen cycle, you can skip to that topic. But anyway, so that is one very important reason why filtration is so important in every aquarium, because you are creating an ecosystem and you're putting a life into a box. So you need to keep that environment ready for it, and so that is one reason why we need to do. Why we need to have filtration. There are a lot of people who keep bettas and all without filtration. That is not doing justice to any fish, because any fish, let it be big or small, the first thing what they create, they eat and they shit out waste. So that obviously is going to create ammonia, and that ammonia is a big, very, very harmful thing for your fish. And with ammonia, what happens is it starts, reducing the immune system of your fish, and eventually that will stress them out. And then, once immunity is less in any fish, they start getting sick and they get into all kind of illness, and that is when we get into treatments, a lot of things. All of this is because if your filtration is not right. So filtration, that's why is very, very important. I don't think there is any fish tank which should be kept without a filter. Like a lot of people keep fishes in a bowl. Why we should not keep it in a bowl is because there is no filter designed well for a bowl. So you can't have major filtration and major aeration inside a bowl, because once you put a fish into a bowl and you give an air stone, there's so much of pressure that the water is continuously rotating, and that is so stressful for your fish or a goldfish or whatever fish you're keeping inside. So keeping a fish in a bowl is completely not at all recommended. So that is one reason we made this series before, and we've also told that no fishes in a bowl. Yeah, no fish bowls. Yeah. So that's one reason we should always have filtration. Filtration is a very, very important role. All your decorations, tank size, lights, all of that doesn't. That is all secondary. I would say the first most important thing is filtration, and the filtration has to be right. It has to be established. Only then it is right. Otherwise, there is no point just having a filter without if you're not doing it right. So the whole effort or the cost or the expense what you spent on it is a waste. So filtration is very, very important, and it has to be right. And depending on your tank, whatever you're going to keep, you need to plan out your filtration. Do some research about it. There are a lot of, I'm going to be covering most of it in this video, but you also need to do your research, right? Yep. So that's the first part of this video. Second part, second most important thing I would say is, a lot of people ask me this on my channel, is that sir, I have a 2 feet tank, what is the ideal filtration? To find out your aquarium volume, tank volume or water capacity, you can just go into Google and type aquarium volume, and there are so many websites where you can just type your dimensions of your tank in inches, and it will give you how many liters or how much is your tank capacity. So based on that, you need that data to basically start or understand your tank volume, and then you can find out what is the ideal filtration. So on basic rule of thumb is that you should look at a filter which is every filter there is liters per hour, the output of the pump's powerful, the power of your pump is always mentioned on the box, or it is mentioned on the pump. How many liters per hour is the circulation or the output of that pump? So for example, if your tank is about 100 liters, we need to look at 7 to 10 times your water volume. That is the basic rule of thumb. That is, if you're going for a bare bottom kind of a setup. So 7 to 10 times. So you will need to look at a pump which is about 700 to 1000 liters per hour. It's very, very clearly mentioned in any brand of filters. It is very clearly mentioned. But minimum 7 to 10 times per hour your water needs to be going in through that filter and coming out. So accordingly you need to select. So it can be a hang-on filter, it can be a canister, it can be a sump, it can be anything. But that is the basic thing when you go for a basic kind of a setup of a tank. Second level, when you get into a planted tank or a planted kind of a scenario where you have a lot of aquascaping, lot of rocks, lot of driftwood, I would say you should look at least 10 to 12 times your water volume. So again, coming back to, if it is a 100 liter tank, you should look at 1000 to 1500 liters per hour kind of an output. Only then the circulation or the right amount of displacement of water will happen inside your tank. Otherwise, if it is a very low pressure filter, then your pressure, some areas of your tank will not get covered, or that portion, the you will have a lot of waste which is stuck because the pressure is very low. So that is one reason for a planted tank you need to have little higher than a normal tank. Third thing, when you go to marine, it's a completely different scenario. You need to have very good water flow, because it is a saltwater aquarium, and if you have pockets where the pressure is not there, you will have salt deposits. So you need to have a very powerful kind of a pump to have that circulation going. So it will be much more than 1500. We need to do almost 2000 liters per hour kind of a thing, depending on your tank. It should be more powerful than a normal scenario, because it's a marine tank and pressure is very important, and the entire water needs to be circulated well. Otherwise you will have salt deposits, which will again affect your parameters and then of course cause problems for your marine. This is specifically marine. Okay, so this is the basic rule of thumb: 7 to 10 times, 10 to 12 times, or then 12 to 15 times, or 15 to 20 times for a marine kind of a setup. So this is the basic rule of thumb when it comes to calculation of a filter. So based on the pump what you need or the size of your tank, you can decide on what is the type of filter that you need to use. That is the next topic. Let's get into that. Okay, so the third topic here is the types of filters. There are so many types of filters, so many, it's something like so many varieties, so many brands. So to start off at basic level, you have sponge filters. So you get two types. Basically you get two types. One is which is a floor mounted kind of a sponge filter, which is placed on the ground of the base of your aquarium. The second very commonly available is your wall mounted, which is has got a vacuum suction, and that is stuck to your glass, and it gives a output on top, so you get a good surface agitation with that kind of a sponge filter. Next you have your hang-on filters. You have different types of hang-on filters: small, big, very big, and you get even hang-on canister filters. So that is again a lot of brands like Sobo, Sunsun, RS, Venus. These are things which you get commonly in India, and hang-on filters. But the only issue again I want to mention with hang-on filters is that if you're having a thin glass, then going for a very heavy hang-on filter. Some people make aquariums with 5 mm glass and all of that. With a 5 mm glass, your water will hold, but your hang-on filter is sitting on this glass, so we need to be very careful. So it may not take the load over time, because it will definitely have a slight vibration. So a hang-on filter, if you're going for, you need to have a little thick glass. If your aquarium is with a thicker glass, it's always better. So it's always better to go for that, because some people, you get even hang-on canisters where it is very heavy actually. So if you don't have a minimum of a 10 mm glass, I would not recommend buying that, because it will give you good filtration, but if the glass cannot hold it, then your aquarium cannot handle it. So you need to understand that. So depending on your glass thickness, you need to decide on your hang-on, because hang-on will always have water in it, and media and sponge and whatever. So it will be heavy, and it will be heavy on one side of the glass. So if your glass is not thick, it might cause some problems for your aquarium. So that is something you need to take care when you're getting into hang-on. Depending on your glass thickness, you can decide. It's just a thing, because it happened to me when I started off. I ended up, there was a small leak in the tank and all that. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Yeah, so that is the hang-on part. Then you have canister filters. There are so many varieties of canisters. You have Sunsun, you have Flavel, you have EHAM, you have I'm not getting names anyway. So again, canisters, if you're going about tanks above 150 to 200 liter kind of tanks, better to go for a canister filter, because that is when it does a good kind of filtration and all that. And I think canisters start minimum with about 1000 liters per hour will be your minimum output. So there, when I'm talking about the big ones, which has got 4 or 5 sections, and you can put a lot of filter media in that and all of that. So minimum it starts from about 1000 to 1500 liters per hour. Okay, so that is how a canister. When you go for a bigger tank, definitely a canister is good. Then you have something like a top sump or top filter. which is something which sits on top. It's got a rack, and you have the box which the filter sits on top, and there is a pump which goes up. In this tank I made something very similar. I made it out of glass, but it's not a ready-made thing. But anyway, that's a separate topic. Let's not talk about that. Let's get into that. But anyway, so in a top filter, it's similar. You have a pump and which goes inside, but it's a bigger box, so you can have more media and all of that. But the problem, or I feel, is the issue with the standard ready-made top filters. In power outage, the entire water comes down because of gravity, and if you're having long power cuts, you're going to have your the beneficial bacteria which is formed inside your media will tend to kind of die, because if you have long power cuts. So otherwise you need to do some kind of a setting where the water remains inside your top filter, then it's completely fine, because beneficial bacteria needs water. Without water it will not survive. So that is the whole small disadvantage with top filter. That's something you need to adjust, kind of a jugaad you need to do. Yeah. And most important thing, one more thing, when you go bigger, about 4 feet kind of a thing, tanks and all, a lot of people make sumps, which is like literally like another aquarium right below your aquarium, where it has got everything. It's got much more place, and it's got more area for your media and sponge. So basically water comes down, goes through your sump and passes through media and comes back with a pump, and the water comes back on top. So that is basically like a sump system. Mainly you would say like 4 feet, 5 feet kind of tanks. You need to have that kind of a system, because any canister or any hang-on or whatever will not be able to withstand that kind of bio load, because that many fishes will be there and it's a big tank. So you need to have that much more of media and sponge and all of that. Only then the filtration will be correct. So you need to, when you go bigger, you need to have a sump system. Yeah. So that is for a much bigger tank. Then you have your moving bed filters, like K1. I've made a lot of videos about that, and so that is like a moving bed filter, which is, I wouldn't say like a primary filter. It can be your secondary kind of a filter. So you have a canister, you can also have a moving bed. Only having a moving bed will not do justice, because of course it has got a lot of K1 media and all that, and rotating, and it's low maintenance and all of that. But having only that is not going to help, because that is a much slower process, and the surface area in a K1 or a moving bed is much lesser than a media based or a sponge based filter. So these are the things which I mean I am aware of. If there is something else, if I missed out, do let us know in the comments. Yeah. One more thing, this is something I think every aquarium shop guy sells to every hobbyist when you start off. This is basically, I don't know, they call it a submersible pump, but it's completely a power head. It's just a power head with huge pressure and with a small area of sponge. Yeah. So this is not going to do any major filtration, and this was actually sold to my father-in-law for a 1.5 feet tank, which holds hardly 30-40 liters of water. This pump's output is 650 liters per hour, and once we put this in, the pressure was so high that the fishes couldn't even stand. So this, I wouldn't say is a filter. I don't know why they call it filter. Very commonly available in all your shops. I personally won't recommend this. I personally say this is good if you have a huge tank and you need water flow, right? You want to have good circulation, then this is good, I will say, because the power of this output is awesome. The power, this pressure what it throws water is excellent, but it's not going to do any justice, and it's going to put your fish into huge stress, and it's eventually going to harm your fish. So this is not something recommended for small fish tanks, or if you're starting off a fish tank, or you're starting fresh. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have seen this. This is something you shouldn't buy. I will never recommend buying this for a small tank. If you have a 4-feeter, 5-feeter, this kind of a tank behind me, if you want to create a good circulation, then yes, of course, take this. But not for, and this cannot be the only filtration in your tank, no chance, because the area of sponge, everything is so small, and there's so much pressure that there's nothing going to stick onto this. So please don't get this. with a lot of people, I'm sure anybody getting into this hobby would have seen this filter. Yeah, it is just not, I wouldn't call it a filter. That's my opinion, but yeah, big no. Big no to this. Yeah. So let's move on to the next topic. Next most important thing is the filter media. So you have so many varieties of media. So broadly they are categorized into mechanical, biological and chemical. So mechanical basically is your sponges. I'm going to be showing that separately in some time. So sponges, all that, that's your mechanical filtration, which is going to hold your waste and all of that. Your biological filtration is all your media. You can say rocks, you can say different kinds of media where your beneficial bacteria can grow on. So that is the biological part. I'll be showing that also, different types, whatever I have available, and of course something I can take off the internet to show you guys. Third is the chemical filtration. Chemical filtration mainly would be your activated carbon. So the issue, or personally my opinion with regards to activated carbon, is that it is something which has to be used. It is good, it polishes your water, it gives you clear water, it absorbs all harmful things, but there is a limitation to activated carbon. The problem with activated carbon is that it has to be replaced periodically every 30 to 45 days depending on the variety or the quality of the activated carbon that you're using. Because it has got its own absorption level or strength. After a point it cannot absorb, so then it starts giving out things which is very, very harmful for your aquarium. So activated carbon, if you're using periodically, it has to be changed. And one more very important thing when you're using activated carbon is, if you're doing any treatment, you would have seen in most of your medications, you should remove the activated carbon, because this activated carbon absorbs everything including your medication, so it's not going to cause any effect on your fish. So you would have seen it in most of your medicines or the tablets or whatever you use for your fishes. It will be written specifically, filtration is okay, but please remove out activated carbon, because that is the thing, it keeps absorbing everything. It will absorb everything, even the useful things also it will take out. So that is why activated carbon is kind of a little crazy or little dangerous if you don't use it correctly. And one more thing, I personally use activated carbon when I do a treatment. Like once I finish a treatment in a fish tank with a lot of medication or whatever it is, I use a pouch of activated carbon with an air stone or a power head to absorb everything what is left over. In case there is something which is left over from the treatment what we have done, then activated carbon is the best. It actually pulls out everything. So leave it for a day or two, and in the tank it will absorb everything back. So that is very good. For that it's perfectly fine. Remove the carbon out, dry it out in the sun, keep it for another rainy day. Yeah. So otherwise don't use it. I personally don't use activated carbon every time, because it causes issues. Because for me the problem is I have so many fish tanks, I lose count. So I don't use it personally. But if you're using activated carbon, please be very, very careful. Write down, mark it out, and then replace it periodically. And yeah, so that is broadly that's the thing. So next I will be showing you different kinds of sponges and medias and all of that. Yeah, let's get into that. So first we have the mechanical filtration. So these are thick sponge pads what we get. This comes in yellow, this comes in blue, this comes in green, a lot of other colors. So this comes in big sheets where you can cut, and you can see it's a very dense kind of a material where your bacteria colony will build up. So this can be your first level of mechanical filtration. So this has got a huge surface area for your beneficial bacteria to build up. So this is one type of sponge, and of course you've seen the sponge filters and all of that. This is another similar. This is like a fabric but little more thinner. So this basically you can use if you're using a media like a cover on top. So you can cut it to whatever shape and you can use this on top. So this is basically another type for holding your fish waste and all of that. So all of this basically mechanical filtration, when you go into a sump or a hang-on filter, first we need to use these kind of things. So the waste has to get collected in this. All your fish waste has to get collected into this. After this layer you should have the media. You should not have the media, which I'm going to be showing next, all the media balls or ceramic rings or whatever. That should come in next after this. So this basically is a pad which needs to hold this, or the previous one which I showed you. All these things are ones which need to be there before the media. This is like a floss, very soft, just like cotton. So this basically is a material for mainly a polishing. So a lot of people use this in the output, where final water which is coming out, they use this. So this basically holds even the most finest dust. It's very thin, and this holds lot of your thin small kind of particles. This sponge will hold. So you can call this like a floss. This is very thin. This needs to be replaced very often, because this, once it hits water, it tends to kind of expand and gets it loses its charm very fast. So this needs to be replaced on a regular basis. But this basically gives you very crystal clear water. So if you can use this in the last section, it will be good. Yeah, it's very thin, it's very fine. It holds all the most fine particles. And there are different types of sponges. So these are things which I have in hand. So this is what is the mechanical filtration part. Now when we get into the biological, where there is different types of media, what we are talking about. This is something, this is called a ceramic ring, commonly available in all your shops. You could have seen it. Yeah, this is something which very, very commonly, and it's a very porous kind of a material. Yeah, this again absorbs water, and your bacteria colony buildup is very, very good in this kind of a media. So this they put in multiples, or put it in a bag and things like that, and then water passes through this. After it passes through the your sponge. So this media, whatever I'm showing in the biological part, all these medias need to get only clear water, not waste. If fish waste comes and sits on this will not perform. And because the water has to pass through this, very clean water has to pass through this, only then this will function well. So this is ceramic rings. This is another like a lava rock kind of a thing, is also in the shape of ceramic rings, which is also commonly available these days. Does the same thing, again got a very good porous, it's very porous, absorbs a lot of water, and very good for build-up of the bacteria colony. Then you have this is like a clay kind of a ball. This is also very good for your bacteria colony. Yeah. Next you have, this is a lava rock. Again you get this in different sizes. You get it big, small. If you guys have seen our paludarium video, our entire filtration is because of this. Again, very, very porous, absorbs a lot of water, and a huge commonly available material for your bacteria colony. So this is like lava rocks, also very commonly available. These are the little economical kind of a thing. Now this is your ADA BioRio. So all your commercial, I would say, branded ones, this is again a very light material, again very porous. All of these things are very porous. It absorbs water, and it helps in building up the bacteria colony. So your ADA BioRios, your Matrix, all of them look very, very similar. All of these are the similar type. All are very porous, and you can basically all of this helps in building up the beneficial bacteria colony. All of this what we are doing is mainly for the beneficial bacteria, or the good bacteria, what we are going to be covering next in the nitrogen cycle. Okay. So these are things which I had in hand, and so these are some commonly available things which is available in the market. There are other medias and brands definitely for biological filtration. These are something which I had, so I just thought I'll show you guys. Next we get into your chemical filtration, which is, sorry, just the camera, which is the activated carbon or activated charcoal. So this is a very raw charcoal. You get even more polished ones, but does this job. So activated carbon, like I mentioned in the next part, is mainly your chemical filtration. It absorbs all kinds of harmful things in your tank, and I mentioned this later also in the video, that this thing, the only problem with this is because of its absorption capability, it has got a limit also. So this thing has to be replaced every 30 to 45 days. So that is one of the biggest problems with this. A lot of people don't do that. They keep the carbon and let it running. So after it absorbs, it finishes its absorption capacity, it starts giving out things which is very, very harmful. So that is one issue with the chemical filtration. So this thing you have to keep in mind, it has to be replaced periodically. So that is very, very important. And like I've mentioned later in the video also, if you're doing any treatments and all, this thing needs to be removed. Otherwise this will absorb everything and the medicine will not have any effect. So that's one thing with the activated carbon. And I mainly use activated carbon especially after some treatments and all. If there is some leftover in the medication in the tank, I use this basically for for it to clear out the tank for a couple of days and remove it out. Yeah. So activated carbon, the only issue is it has to be replaced. That's about it. That's the only issue. That's the main thing in our chemical filtration. So I had also mentioned that you get this moving bed filter, which is one of things I love to do. This is the K1 media. This is the K1 moving bed filter media. I've made a lot of videos on this. The camera is not taking focus. Anyway, so this is basically a moving bed kind of a filter where you give it good aeration and it starts rotating, and it gives you and it's got a good surface area. If you see the steps kind of a thing, right? It also is a good colony for beneficial bacteria. You can see in the outside and also in the inside. So over time there will be a huge beneficial bacteria colony which builds up inside this. So that is the moving bed filter K1. It comes in different sizes, K3, K2, a little more bigger also. This is a smaller one. You get even smaller than this for smaller tanks. Yeah, but this is, like I said, it's not a, this is not like the only filtration is not possible. You need to have this as an additional filter. It looks cool in the tank, in the sides, when it is rotating, it looks cool. So that is one. This is something again which I had. It's again a bio ball, little bigger in size. You can see compared to a K1 how big it is. This is again the same purpose. It has got a lot of surface area. You can see a lot of area for beneficial bacteria to grow. But again, here again the time taken for it to establish is also going to be longer. So all this moving bed kind of a thing, what I've shown here, these two things, there are different types which you get in the moving bed type, can be used, but these things take time. These things can be your additional filter. It cannot be your main filter, because the beneficial bacteria colony takes a long time to build up in this kind of surface than compared to the biological thing, right? So this can be like an additional thing, yeah, kind of filtration. So these are the overall things which I had in hand and which I have shared. So the basic funda is all of these materials are all very porous, and which is a huge home or a house for your beneficial bacteria. So that is the reason we use these kind of media. And like I said earlier also, only water has to come into this section, pure water, not the water with waste. With waste, if it comes in, if waste gets stuck onto these surfaces, it will not perform. So like I showed earlier, the sponges have to be the first layer, then only the water should come into contact with this. So in a canister kind of a setup, first you have the sponge, then you have media, then you can have the polishing, that fabric kind of a filter or the sponge, and that's when then the ideal filtration is done. And like these two things, to summarize, is additional filter, not the main filtration, right? Okay. So the most important topic in this video, that is the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle has got different names. They say new tank syndrome, new tank cycling, nitrogen cycle. So a lot of people mistake it as what is cycling, why do we need to ride a cycle when you buy a fish tank. I mean, I've heard all of these questions in my comments and all of that. So what is a nitrogen cycle? Okay, so basically in the initial part of this video I told you what happens when you put in a fish and all of that. So the process of establishing an aquarium takes about 30 to 45 days from the day you start your filter for the first time, right? So what is the cycling? So that is the time when naturally it takes for beneficial bacteria, or rather in normal terms good bacteria, to form in your filter or inside your aquarium. So that bacteria basically eats up the harmful things like ammonia and nitrate, breaks them down into nitrate. Okay, so ammonia and nitrite are the most harmful things for any fish. That is very, very dangerous. So what is the whole process? Okay, so once you get a fish tank from your aquarium shop or wherever you're buying it, a lot of people sell you the fish tank with the fishes. Never do that. Please don't do that. Okay, because whatever filtration you have, whatever you have, it needs to be established. Otherwise your fishes cannot handle the ammonia spike which is going to happen in the tank within a couple of days, because that is something which is definitely going to happen in your fish tank. So that is why you would have heard so many people saying that, I bought a fish tank, everything was fine, within 1 week everything started dying, because that is the time it takes for the ammonia to build up. And when ammonia is building up, and if the beneficial bacteria is not established in your filter, it cannot break it down, right? So that is why we say you need to wait for at least 30 to 45 days, which is a very difficult thing. A lot of people say, "Arey yaar, we bought the fish tank, there's no fishes." But of course you need to wait. It's this hobby, you need to have a little bit of patience. It's very, very important in the hobby. Otherwise you're definitely going to end up killing your fishes, or hurting your fishes, or putting them into a very bad scenario where they will not be able to handle it. Let it be any fish, I'm not talking about big or small, any fish for that matter. Filter establishment is very, very important. So like I said earlier, first thing what happens in a fish tank is when you add fishes, what do? They eat and they poop. They eat, they poop. There is obviously some amount of fish food which is left over. There is definitely going to be fish waste which is naturally going to come in. So what does these two things create? They create this harmful thing called ammonia, which is very, very, very harmful for fishes. Okay, ammonia free hair dyes, we get hair dyes ammonia free. Why? Because ammonia used to burn, right? So it is very harmful. Even if it's harmful for us, equally harmful for fishes. So what do we need to do? Okay, so when you start your fish tank, fill in the water, set up your decorations on your filter, and let it run without any fishes in it. That is why it's called fishless cycle also. Cycling a fish tank with only the equipment, no fishes, just the equipment. That is what is a fishless cycle. So one thing you can do is, now for the beneficial bacteria to form in your spawns or in your media, whatever you guys saw earlier, whatever you're going to use, it needs ammonia, right? So beneficial bacteria's food or khana is ammonia, right? So how do we give ammonia without fishes? Any guesses? Yeah. Very simple. Add some fish food. Yeah. Add some fish food. Let it be there in the tank for a day or two. That will definitely cause ammonia. So with that, you are boosting the process of the beneficial bacteria forming, because beneficial bacteria also needs food. They feed on ammonia. Okay, and that is the basic funda. So simple terms, put some fish food, let it be there for a couple of days, remove that, add some more. So this whole process without fishes helps in building your beneficial bacteria or good bacteria colony in your fish tank. Okay, so that is one. Second part is, once ammonia is eaten up, it gives out nitrite, okay, which is also very, very harmful for fishes. So one section is done. Second is again this. There's another next level of beneficial bacteria which breaks down nitrite also. So first ammonia breaks down to nitrite, and nitrite again is broken down to nitrate. Okay. So nitrate is a level is still manageable for your fishes. Ammonia and nitrite very dangerous. So basically the beneficial bacteria needs to be established to eat up all of this. So depending on your tank size, that is why we say we need to add that much of media or that much of sponge, so that the beneficial bacteria colony is built accordingly. So the time your fishes come in, obviously the load of ammonia or the waste and the fish food, everything is going to be more because you have so many fishes, right? So your entire filtration has to be established for that. So that is why we give it this time. But again, just putting the fish tank, just keeping the fish tank empty and just running the filter is not going to help. You need to add some food, you need to give some food for the beneficial bacteria, right? So that is when it's going to start building your thing. Of course, there are a lot of products which like CCAM stability, you have API quick start, you have ocean free, you have some thing which is a concentrated solution for beneficial bacteria, which they say you can add it into your tank and which will help the cycle or the beneficial bacteria formation faster in your tank. But again, they say, in the bottle it will be very clearly written that you can add the fish immediately. Never do that, because like I said, it's a natural process and beneficial bacteria will take time for it to establish. So I would say, even if you're using all these quick start or whatever products, you need to give it still at least 30 days. I would personally say 30 days, because only then your entire tank is established, or your filter or your whatever is completely established. One more quick way is, if you have multiple tanks like what I have here, you can take media or sponge filter from an established aquarium and put it into your new tank. So that way the beneficial bacteria colony has come into your new tank and the process is started, and so it will start building faster and your process is faster. So it's not like a completely fresh thing. So these are the three things I would feel. There are a lot of other people, they say add ammonia directly. I don't know how to do all of that. I've never tried it, and I don't think you should also try it, because we don't know how much to add, and excess of anything is bad. So basically there is no quick method. It is always a natural process. So let it give it time, and definitely your tank will get established. To check this, you need to have a test kit. If you don't have a test kit, go to a shop, take a little bit portion of your water, and after about 20-25 days, you can actually go out to your nearby fish store who's got a test kit and test for ammonia. Ammonia and nitrite has to be 0. Nitrate levels can go up to 20 to 30 ppm, is still okay, and nitrate levels are generally controlled by good water changes. Yeah, and also people add some plants. Plants also absorb a lot of nitrate. So that way the nitrate is still handleable by fishes. So too much of nitrate is also bad. So nitrogen cycle, why is it called nitrogen cycle? So the nitrate is breaking down all of these two chemicals into nitrate. Okay, so that is why the thing. So the entire process takes time. So that is why we need to cycle your fish tank for at least 30 to 45 days or 40 days, depending on the size of your tank, and only then add fishes. Don't add fishes before that, otherwise you're going to cause them a lot of harm and they will have a lot of issues, and then you'll be behind them just doing treatments and buying medicines and all of that, and it's a never ending process. So I wouldn't ask you to get into that. It's kind of a little crazy. And a lot of people have told me in some comments, if I take water from an established tank and put it into the new tank, will it help? No, it will not help. Beneficial bacteria needs a surface. Okay, it grows on a surface. It grows on sponge. It grows on your decoration. It grows on your glass. It grows on stones. It grows on your filtration media. All of that. It will not be simply moving around in your water, right? So taking water from here and putting into a new tank is not going to help. You take the media from this, take the sponge from this tank and then put it. It will work. Not the water. water will not work. So you need to have, beneficial bacteria needs a surface for it to multiply and grow and all of that, right? So you can take filtration or sponge from a tank and put it into another tank. If this tank is completely okay and there's no disease or anything, you can do that. Then it's fine. Don't take a sponge or a media from an infected tank and then you're going to infect this tank also. So be careful about that. But water doesn't carry beneficial bacteria, right? So a lot of people have told in a canister filter you get UV light, so it kills all the bacteria. UV is in a separate section. So the water is passing through the UV light and coming out. It is not touching the media, right? So water doesn't carry beneficial bacteria. So beneficial bacteria is on the media and the sponge and other elements in your tank. It is not on. It's not in the water. Yeah. So that is something. I mean, a lot of people have asked me. I've answered. I just thought it just came into my mind. I thought I should add it. Yeah. I think most of it I've covered with regards to the nitrogen cycle. Anyway, this is completely my take. If there's anything I missed out, do leave it in the comments. Yeah. So after the nitrogen cycle, next would be the positioning of your intake and output of your, if you're using a hang-on or if you're using a canister kind of a filter or a sump filter or a top filter, whatever. In places like Bangalore where we stay, we use heaters because it's pretty cold weather. So personally, I would say don't keep your heater towards the intake of your, pump, right? So heater is here, and if you have the pump pulling hot water into your sump or into your hang-on filter or into your canister filter, that is too much heat. Okay, so that's hot water literally going in directly. If it is very close, it's obviously absorbing the hot water first, right? So that can kind of cause problems for your beneficial bacteria in your tank or in your filter. So what happens is when there's too much of heat which is getting absorbed into your canister or into your sump or hang-on, like I said, the beneficial bacteria colonies established in your tank. So there is because of the heat, of course they'll cause, because direct heat, okay. When you can of course say, the water is warm and it is going in any way. That is different, okay. The entire temperature is spread, you are setting at a temperature of 28 degrees, that is fine. But when a water is pulled from next to a heater, I've seen in some filters, and sometimes even I've done that mistake, where the heater is here and the intake is right next to it. So that is obviously hot water, immediate hot water is getting pulled. Of course, one more reason is it is going to make your heater work more because all the hot warmth is going into the filter, right? So it's not a big problem, but it also affects your beneficial bacteria colony. So avoid doing that. Keep it opposite, and if you're using a canister, if you have a big tank, you have two outputs, right? Intake and output. Keep the heater in the output side, so when the water is coming out, so accordingly you get a good spread of the hot water across your tank. Not in the intake. Keep it in the output place, so you get the water is getting pushed, right? So you get good displacement of the hot water or the warm water. So yeah, heater placement with the positioning of your intakes also very important. And depending on your tank size, if your pressure is very high, you can keep both intake and output at the same side, so it will go and come back. So that's something some people do. And so yeah, I mean, with hang-on it's of course like that, because the intake is down and the output is on top. So it is just going and coming back, so it's hitting the wall and coming back. So that's similarly you can do that even for your canister filters and also your sump system. Yeah, so yeah, and when you go bigger, you need to observe the blind spots. There will be a lot of blind portions in your tank where you will see that the waste will be getting collected. Some portion where the pressure is kind of drooping down or something where the waste is not getting collected. So those are some points you need to plan out your filter force, accordingly. So that you don't have any blind spots. So when you say blind spots, especially it happens in a bigger tank. When you have a big tank about 4 feet, 5 feet, you'll have some portions of your tank where there is no much of flow, because the pressure is not enough or the suction is not enough. So somewhere there you'll have a thing. So you'll have to plan out your output or the pressure accordingly, or maybe use those power head which I showed earlier for just pushing the flow, right? So to cover up your blind spots, you can use those kind of stuff. Again, only for big tanks. This doesn't happen with small tanks. Yeah. The next topic. So sure. I mean, there's no harm in saying this, but it's a very important thing. Every filter or equipment what you buy in the hobby, all of that has got a manual, and there will be some recommended ways of installing it and positioning it. So definitely go through the manual, or definitely check out YouTube. There are so many videos about every product, and you can just check what is the ideal way to install it, right? Like for example, a small thing which a lot of people miss out is in a hang-on filter, you have a small adjustment in the bottom where you adjust it to make the hang-on filter stand straight. If this is not done right, if the hang-on filter is bent, so you have excess flow, or the intake pipe is kind of going full pressure on your glass, or if it is like this, the water is not actually coming out of your hang-on in the right way, you won't get the right pressure. So it is just a small adjustment, okay? Some filters don't show that, okay, in the manual, but I'm just saying. So those are some small things you should take care and do your R&D before you buy your filter. I mentioned this earlier also. Look at installation videos. We have made a lot of videos with regards to filtration. I'm going to leave the playlist in the video description. Do have a look. I made so many videos on sponge filters, installation, hang-on filter, hang-on canisters, hang-on canister maintenance, opening them out, and power head opening and whatever. And all of these filters can be cleaned, okay? And everything can be opened out and everything can be cleaned. You just have to open it out. There are certain ways to just turn and open it or whatever. They'll always have an impeller, and all these impellers get caught with a lot of muck or dirt in it, and the magnet there's a magnet basically, and the rotation reduces because there is some kind of sand or whatever is stuck, and that is when the pressure of your filters reduce. So that doesn't mean your filters become old or something. Open it up. Every filter can be opened and cleaned. Open it up. I will leave the playlist on top. Do have a look, and it's very important to know, and try it out. Open it up. Doesn't matter. Then decide if you want to change it or get a new one. But every filter can be opened and cleaned, and if you maintain it well, I mean, my hang-on filter has done a record of 4 years. It is still running well in my dad's house, my planter tank. One of my first hang-on filters. It is still running. It's four and a half years now actually, and it is still running well. No problem. It's just that periodic maintenance of all the equipment is very, very important. Nothing is like a no maintenance filter. There's nothing like that. Even they say K1 or moving bed is a no maintenance filter, but still you need to clean it once in a while, because there is some junk which gets into it. You have fishes inside, so anything can happen. So maintenance, periodic maintenance of all filters is very, very, very important. Yeah. From the previous topic about maintenance, the most important thing when you're cleaning a filter, or especially your filter media, sponge, the stone, or whatever you're using, is never clean that with fresh water, right? Never clean your filter media with fresh water, okay? The whole idea of this video, or the whole process you've done for creating the beneficial bacteria cycle and all of that will get destroyed in just 10 minutes if you clean it with fresh water, right? So all your filter media, sponge, all of that needs to be cleaned only with fish tank water, right? Because that condition is suitable for this particular beneficial bacteria, right? So the media or the sponge, when you do take a bucket of water from your tank, just put the sponge inside, squeeze it 2 times and put it back. That's it. And even the media, just clean it in the water, in the tank, fish tank water, remove out a little bit, clean it, put it back. No fish tank media, no fish tank sponge needs to be crystal clear. Okay, then your bag, if you clean it fully, put it in the sun and all of that, it's gone. Your entire cycling or whatever you guys have done, the entire process of establishing a filter with 30 days, 45 days, everything gone in just a jiffy. Yeah. So no filter media or sponge is has to be cleaned with fresh water, because your beneficial bacteria colony will die, right? So why we say tank water is because the beneficial bacteria is thriving or growing in this water condition. So when you do squeeze it out, little bit will go, but a lot of it will still remain in that colony. Or all your filter media, like I showed earlier, is all porous. There's a lot, millions and millions of colony which is established inside it. So nothing will happen to that. So don't clean it with fresh water, only clean with tank water. Very, very, very important. A lot of people have done this mistake, and so that will entirely spoil your tank, or your established tank is gone, right? So never do that, and always clean it with your tank water only. Yeah. And one more small topic or a small tip is that if you are doing a big water change in your fish tank, like a 50 or 80% water change, same day don't do even, filter cleaning, because it's going to change a lot of elements, right? So it will definitely affect your beneficial bacteria colony. So don't, do big water change and filter cleaning on the same day. So that is something I personally don't do. I personally say that keep water change for one day and filter cleaning for another day. So there is a gap. Everything fresh is like almost like a fresh start, which again, depending on your fishes. Okay, if you have big fishes like discus and all, I will not recommend, because the bioload what they create is very high, and your filter needs to be that strong enough to handle that, because every day they are eating and they are giving out waste and all of that. So doing a big water change and filter cleaning on the same day, I will not recommend. It's not ideal, but if you are, then if you are using the beneficial bacteria liquids and all, you can use those and add that into your tank once you have done this big water change and full filter cleaning. Super. Yeah, add this. Don't leave it empty. Otherwise, you're going to face issues. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I think I've covered most of it. If I have missed out something, let me know in the video's comments, and do let us know what you guys think about this whole topic. I know it was a long video, and if you watched it fully, thank you very much. If you haven't, I'm very happy you watched at least some part of it. So the whole idea of this, chapter-wise sorting out the video is very interesting. So you don't need to watch the entire thing. If you want something specific, you can watch it specifically. Okay, so hope I've covered most of the topics with regards to filter. So if you like the video, please do give it a like. If you didn't like the video, do drop in your comments why you didn't like the video. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe. We make very interesting topics like this, and I've made a lot of videos with regards to all of a lot of topics with regards to the aquarium, and do subscribe and support us. We make videos in regional languages also, right? So looking forward to your comments, and if I missed out something, please do drop in your comments. Very, very important. And like I've told earlier also, the pandemic is still on. Yeah, so stay safe, and wash your hands, social distancing, very, very important, and avoid crowded places. A lot of people are on the road, and a lot of people are doing whatever they want to do, but we need to be careful, because our life is in our hands, and our family and all of that is completely in our hands. So please take care of yourself, and hope you guys liked the video, and hope I could educate you guys a little bit with regards to what I know about this hobby. A little bit, I think I know. Yeah. So until the next video, bye bye. Stay safe.